Great morning, friends. Great morning, world. Great morning, America. Great morning, you. Great morning, me. Welcome to another 10-minute Rise Up with Dragon that has a tendency of going a little bit longer than 10 minutes. I'm always trying to do my introduction as perfect as possible, so here goes another attempt at it. Welcome to the playing field of your conscious mind. This podcast's intention is to remove the blindfolds from your programmed mind so that you can gain access to higher levels of consciousness and tap into your true great potential. How do we do this? We do this with our 10-minute deep thought, straight to the punch podcast format, weekly blog called The Dragon's Lair, One from the Vault, and our upcoming online courses and books. Welcome, my friends, to another Rise Up with Dragon.
Great morning, world! Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast with your host, Dragon!
What's up, friends? Excited about today. Today is a topic that I absolutely love, that I wrote about. A little bit of it comes from my book, and it's called The Limited Mind. But before we get into that, one of the things that you can do to bypass that analytical and limited mind is get into meditation. So I just want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of our show, Karma Mind.
Get into the float state with Karma Mind meditations and gear.
So before we get into the dragon thoughts of the day, I got to share with you something funny. So just imagine what it's like to live with the dragon. I've been practicing for 15 solid years, this rise up process of setting up my day and getting my mind and everything, set up. And I have this just miraculous morning schedule that I share with everybody in my book. So it's pretty hard to fuck with me in the morning, but I'm still an observation of my family, and Chicken has her own routine. And I want to give her a shout out. Chicken's my wife. She's been getting up at 5:30 a.m. And for her, that's crazy. And I didn't tell her to do it. She decided to do it. She's taking, control of her life. And this morning, everything was going great. And it's kind of melded into a little bit of my morning as well. And this morning she was sitting in her bed and she was like doing some devotionals and she was like meditating and stuff. And she had a cup of coffee in her hand, and one of the fucking cats just, this is the way life works, right? It just ran and jumped and freaked out. You know how cats like see things that aren't there, and it freaked out and jumped and just knocked like her water and her coffee all over the bed. So then I watched her just completely lose it and scream, fuck shit, like she was going to kill the cat. Thank God the cat is cute, or else it would be dead. But when we went for our walk this morning, that's what we do after my morning routine. Chicken and I go for a walk, which is a great idea for those of you that are in relationships. It's just our time to talk, and it's a mental thing. We were just talking about and acknowledging how there are certain situations where we feel so justified to get angry and lash out, and it's almost like we get a hall pass to do it. But the whole purpose of my work and the interface response system and the book that's coming out is what would happen if you didn't respond like that. If your knee-jerk, automatic, inherited program mind response, your stress response system did not kick in and you had the ability to slow down. The other day I was extremely stressed out and I felt it, and that's okay, to feel the feels. And what I do, one of the tips that I can give you, what I do when I'm feeling like sensitive and agitated is I slow down. It's like I push a button that slows everything down. So if you pop in and you ask me a question at that time and you say, hey, and I'm real sensitive and I know it and I've acknowledged it. What I do is I just go, what? I slow down. I sit in the eye of the storm and I slow down. So just a quick thought today as we get into our topic, the limited mind. I was just thinking about how cool it is when you're, I'm just always thinking about this idea of becoming conscious and becoming more aware and alert, which is probably your biggest challenge and biggest win should you accomplish it. But what's exciting about the idea of awareness and leveling up is that it can happen in an instant. We spend so much time trying to make it happen, but the truth is that it can happen at any time. What I think is just so super cool about that is that gives you faith and hope that today could be a great day. So if you struggle with looking at this day and saying today's going to be a great day, you might want to start off by saying today could be a great day. So the work I do in self-discovery and consciousness, what it does is it merely places people into the arena of play, where this idea of awakening and becoming more conscious and getting focused, that conversation is pushed in the arena of play. So if you're listening to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast and you're doing some of this work, it doesn't mean that you're going to become more aware, but it means that you're in the playing field where you're pushing that conversation. So let's talk about the limited mind. So as always, I write about things that I'm fascinated with and these messages that I get. So I'm super fascinated with human behavior. I don't know if you've noticed this, obviously. So this brings me, this idea of just observing human behavior, it brings me, and it will bring you to a place as well. If you just become an observer, where we stop judging others, right? Think about that for a second. If you're just an observation and you're not a judge, you haven't been hired to be on a panel of judges, you're just an observation. Instead of judging, I just observe human behavior without placing a rating or a value of good or bad or right or wrong, right? Try that today. Try to just observe human behavior and not decide whether it's right or wrong or good or bad. That's something that is big part of the interface response system. So if I were to do that, if I were to judge and put a label on something, what would be happening is I would be allowing in that moment, as soon as you create an opinion about somebody else or even yourself, what you'd be doing is allowing your controlled and limited mind to be the shot caller as if you were in prison. You know who the shot caller is in prison? Is the person that calls the shots. They own the cigarettes, and all that stuff, right? So all of a sudden you let your limited mind, your programmed, inherited limited mind be the shot caller. And the worst part about that is you miss out on the fascinating process of just observing, watching, and trying to better understand. This is a fun thing to do with all crazy humans out there, rather than labeling them, just to better understand where their behavior comes from, neither good or bad, neither here nor there. So it's plain to see that for the most part, humans are unconscious, sleepwalking, when it comes to a lot of stuff that they think about and that they do. We very much just like chicken today. Things pop up and boom, we just go into action. And as well as when we recognize that we're unconscious about the things that we think or do, we're also unconscious to the fact that those things very often impact our future, right? If you look at karma and the cascade effect and the ripple effect, we forget about that in the moment. And we also forget about some of the advertising of our opinions and our actions, how it also affects others negatively. It's not your fault, right? You forget about that stuff. And as a matter of fact, in the scripture, and I, shout out to all my friends that are real big, pastors and stuff like that, real passionate about that stuff. I'd love to hear them talk. A lot of personal growth in religion. But in the scriptures, it acknowledges that you are forgiven for you know not what you do, right? So it's okay. It's okay. But I'm just offering you the ability to acknowledge what's going on, right? Check the program. So, but where does this unconscious behavior come from? Think about it for a second. So we recognize, I have a tendency of exhibiting unconscious behavior, and it gets me into trouble and it gets other people into trouble. So I want to do something about it, right? I want to learn how to sit in the eye of the storm. And that's what I'm all about, is teaching people how to do that. That's what it means to remove your blindfolds, right? So where does this stuff come from, this unconscious behavior? It comes from the limited mind, right? Does anybody here want to have a limited mind? Raise your hand or chime in and say, hey, teach me how to have a limited mind. No, you don't want that. So that limited mind is that version of our mind that decides on something and then flips the switch, the little switch on the side of your SD card, or what we used to call floppy disks. It flips that little switch and protects your hard drive. right? So when you go into that unconscious limited mind and you start putting exclamation points behind something, what you're doing is right protecting your program. And what that means is it's no longer, this is what it means to have an opinion. And everybody's go look at social media, everybody's got an opinion. It means that you're no longer open for input and discussion. I also see that the justification that we use, this is fascinating. The justification that we use to protect our position, which is a below the line, lack of radical responsibility thing, we use to justify our position and our opinion. We use this concept of certainty, right? There's all these people out there teaching us how to be more certain, and we're all seeking certainty. I'm going to challenge certainty here for a second. Certainty, because I know the value of it, right? But I think what's really valuable is to be certainly uncertain, right? Because that means that your right protect is off and you're open. But certainty is potentially dangerous as it right protects our brain. Look at that. At the moment that you think that you're right and you're certain of it, you are right protected, right? That means that you're not open for discussion. So the moment that we are right protected, what it means is that there's no room for discussion. So when it comes to religion, politics, and healthcare, these are just three big issues that I see, and the news pumps it out. Are you certain? Are you right protected in your position? And are you certain that it is the right one? Because as soon as you are, you have a limited mind. Think about that for a second. I'm not blaming you for that. But what I'm saying is the moment that you think that you're right, you have a limited mind, which activates this whole system that we're trying to gain control over. And if you have a limited mind, it means this is the way it's going to be. There's nothing else. How foolish would it be for us to think that we know everything? I spent a lot of time doing that. It didn't get me too far. Well, actually, it got me far, but the wrong way. So closed to hearing other opinions of another, that is certain, right? That's I'm certain that I'm not interested in hearing you. As a matter of fact, if you say something different than me, my certainty is going to come out that to make sure that you're wrong, to protect my position. I'm afraid, So is certainty a game of certain people trying to disprove another? Another thing about certainty is I'm certain that if you're certain about something, I can find somebody that's certain about the opposite of it. And then you can have fun just fighting with that person, because when you're certain, you love to defend your position. So you know what certain people look for is people that are uncertain of your certainty and they're certain of their certainty. We could have a certainty war. So can you see the value in hearing others out? Just think about it for a second. I know it's tough if you're in a season of certainty right now and you're fired up about something and you're protecting that position. But can you see the value of hearing others out without feeling compelled to agree with what they say? Just leaving your right protect. It's scary. Leaving your right protect open. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable because our brains are worried about being swayed to change. See, one of the things when we commit to something, we get so, I guess, hopeful that it is right because we all want the same things in life and we're afraid that somebody's going to threaten it. So we protect it, just like you'd protect your kids, So, but where does the growth take place? Here's the reality check again. You all know this. Where does growth take place? It takes place in the limited, where does growth take place? In the limited certain mind or in the uncertain mind? Which one? Does growth take place in the limited certain mind or in the open uncertain mind? You tell me in the chat, send me a note on this. And by the way, big shout out to all of you that follow me on Instagram at Rise Up with Dragon. I get a lot of like, hey, this is awesome and stuff like that. But some of you guys give me some deep insight on my posts and I read them all. I love it. You'll notice that I always write more when somebody puts some thought into something. So where does it take place? In the uncertain mind or the certain mind? Growth takes place in the discomfort, in the uncomfortable, in the uncertain mind. So it's a good thing to be uncertain. My favorite 3 words to say these days are, I don't know, right? Just to spend some time in that space. So is today a good day or a bad day in your opinion? Are you certain that it's a good day or a bad day? Whenever somebody says they're having a bad day, I said, are you sure about that? Or is that just how you feel? So those decisions are made by the limited mind, these labels. Remember I told you how I don't label someone. So the unlimited mind approaches the day just as a day, and it carries the good and the bad, and it sees it all as good. Should you choose to have a good day, you will need to see everything as good, right? With uncertainty and openness. So when I'm asked, people say, "Hey, Dragon, how are you doing?" I always like to reply, "It's all good," because I just want to encompass everything. And when somebody approaches me with their opinion, and that opinion is contrary to what I thought or that I was thinking at that uncertain, but I'm choosing an idea that I thought, I just say, that's interesting, right? Because I don't have to accept it, but I'm open to it. This has been a big shift for me, which is a way of me remaining open and unlimited in the eye of the storm, right? So unafraid of finding out that I'm not right. Are you okay with finding out that you're not right? If you are set and poised for some massive growth. I'm okay with finding out that I'm not right because that's no longer my goal. My goal is growth. My goal is freedom, and it's joy, and it's the calm, right? That's what my goal is. So I have learned that being right doesn't get you there. One of my great mentors, Sid Williams, says, "What did anybody ever get for being right?" Right? I love it. So I have stopped trying to control my mind, and which is how I've actually achieved control. If you really want to be in control of your mind, release from trying to control it. That's another form of control. My goal today is to stop chasing my ever-changing thoughts and feelings and just sit in the middle in my awareness, which can happen. Breakthroughs can happen anytime, like I started, in my awareness of those thoughts and feelings as if watching a movie. We're going to go see the new Maverick movie tonight. We're psyched about that. It's entertainment to watch your feelings and thoughts. Now, who am I? These are the questions I ask myself. Who am I? Today, I've decided with uncertainty and openness, I am love, I am light, I am present, and I am okay with you and whatever you think. Hear no evil, speak no evil, and see no evil. That's my goal today. Love and appreciate you all. Hope you're enjoying these. Love the feedback. Have a wonderful day.